Okay, welcome to Course in Miracles. And let's have a little meditation where it's kind of a reheat. We did this a few weeks ago, but it's time to do it again. It's a very interesting little meditation, and it's a metaphor that we'll talk about in tonight's reading. I really like it. It's the bridge. The bridge!
Yeah, short step.
What's the bridge?
Between here and there.
Okay, between here and there. It's got a start, it's got an end. It goes somewhere.
That's meditation. Oh,
yeah, let's just think about that.
You put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, it's kind of directed, isn't it? You know, it's sort of, once you get on it, you know where you're going. And unless you decide to cross it, well, it's over there and you're over here. You can stand at the edge of the bridge and not cross it, and you can look at it, and you'll still be on this side, won't you? And maybe the bridge is even labeled where it goes. Yeah. Let's take a few minutes. Just think about, what is a bridge? And sort of, think of it as this metaphor, and imagine yourself and how you would use a bridge, why you'd use a bridge. Sort of get that sense now, what a bridge is. What is a bridge for? What is it for? See a bridge in your imagination. What does it take to cross a bridge? What do you have to do? Or better yet, what has to happen to you that you would cross the bridge? Is there a cost to crossing the bridge? And finally, does the bridge mean anything? Does the bridge itself mean something? You going to cross that bridge? You better go quick. There's only one more ring.
Only one what?
One more ring.
Oh.
There's only one more ring, and then you will. If you haven't crossed that bridge, we'll be discussing it, and you'll still all be on the first side. Oh no! We'll probably do bridge again sometime in the future.
We've done it once.
We have. We'll probably do it again. This is an interesting little analogy. A spiritual journey. So, a bridge, it's nothing. It doesn't do anything. It's all just talk, isn't it? Until you perhaps cross it, you commit, and go to the other side.
Leave everything behind.
There we go. There's the cost. What's the cost?
You must not value anything you leave behind. Just go.
Because this side is not on the other side.
Right.
You can't be on both sides of the bridge at the same time. You have to let go, huh?
Not even if you're big enough, you can't.
Right. Yes. If you could, you wouldn't need the bridge.
Yeah.
They're two different sides. That's why the bridge is needed.
You can stand on the bridge.
Yes.
Forever and ever.
That's what duality
there.
is. 1 foot here, 1 foot there.
Is that like living in the airport?
It's a connection. On one side it's a connection, on the other side it has no meaning.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Unless you want to go back.
You can if you truly cross it. Right? I don't know.
Yeah, when we get away from the metaphor into the reality of what we're talking about,
The bridge disappears.
can you ever go back?
Do you want to go back?
Yeah, the same way. Yeah.
Be in the same way.
Well, we're talking about a miracle here.
It's like Holy Spirit is the bridge that interprets us.
When you have this awakening, your spiritual awakening, let's say that's the bridge. What you see, you see. Can you go back to unawakened?
We can't.
I didn't see what I saw. No longer know what I know.
I like being
I did see it and I know it.
Do you really know?
The Course says that you can deny the truth now, but you can no longer say it's not true. So you indeed make a shift. When you have a miracle and you have some forgiveness occur, and that holy instant arrives, you have now been exposed to light where there once was only darkness. You cannot reverse that. There's a part of you now that is enlightened.
Yeah.
You can deny it, you can delay it, you can tell yourself lies, but never again will you fully believe it. That darkness, that fear will never be so deep it cannot ever again. You've experienced that?
Mm-hmm.
Where you've sort of awakened from something, you learned something, exposed yourself to something.
It's almost like being forced to look at it differently.
Yes.
Because of this shift in perception.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's even different than perception, because I think sometimes the perception can linger.
Mm-hmm.
Awareness of it.
You can remember the fear. You can
Yeah.
think of how scary it was, but it ain't that scary anymore.
Yeah.
For example,
The
math.
thought of it was scarier than the actual experience.
The thought of it was scarier than the actual experience of
And
going through
resisting
it.
it constantly was like the worst fear.
Yes.
Like, whoa, oh, wanting
Yes.
to avoid it and not look at it and be with it and accept it was the worst. The resistance
Yes.
to it kept bringing it on.
Yes.
Over and over again.
Yes. Well, maybe it was learning to drive. I'm not going to. I'll drive, off the driveway and up and down the street. I'm not going on the freeway. All the other cars. I'm going to merge. You're going to merge on the freeway the first time. What are you going to do? You're going to take. You've never driven a car, and you're just going to go flying on there at 60. Is that what you're going to do? I don't know about that. Those other cars.
There's an anxiety.
But then after you've done it 5 or 6 times, you didn't think twice.
You don't even think about it.
You're texting while you're getting on the freeway, balancing the steering wheel with your kneecaps.
Oh my God. So.
Math, remember in school when you were trying to learn algebra or, oh my God, look at all the square root sign and
First day of class.
first day of class. The first thing the teacher says, not even 10 minutes in,
You will learn all of this.
there will be a quiz in 3 weeks.
Every day.
My stomach got.
My teacher better.
It's the first day of class.
Yeah.
Look at the size of that book. Well, it's 2 books for this class. If you didn't get both of them, you have 2 more days to go to the bookstore and get both books. There'll be a quiz in 3 weeks, and the quizzes are part of your grade, so study. Don't miss the quizzes.
And it'll be a pop quiz, so you don't know when you're going to get it. I used to hate those.
What was this training for?
Math.
That was awful.
No, I mean, what was this training for?
Oh, yeah, well, that's a whole different subject. The whole idea is that you didn't know what it is you were going to have to do, and you're going to have to do it.
You had to
and
trust.
the fear. But then, when you get into it, and and you start to actually do the homework and you realize you can do it, spend a few minutes. Okay, 2x means 2x. I got it. And you start understanding the square root of 9. First time somebody said square root of 9, you said, what? But then when you learned just what two numbers times each other equals, I got it.
It wasn't as scary.
Now you can do the square root of anything. Right?
Yeah.
Once you got that concept, is there any number you can't figure out? It's, so simple now. Yes.
I one time had a prof. He was from Europe, and he'd come to class, and he'd pick up some chalk. I don't know if he said hi or hello or anything, but he would just start writing equations on the blackboard. And sometimes it would be 26 or 29 different equations all the way through. And he'd say, okay, it's all yours.
Yeah.
That was it.
Nice, you went home. You guys stay here for an hour and stare at this. I'm going home. What we're talking about is a bridge.
Yeah. It's a bridge.
How do you go from that mass of things on the chalkboard, or when you get your new cell phone? Everybody here have a cell phone?
No.
I don't have an iPhone.
You got an iPod, didn't you?
Yeah, I threw my cell phone away 9 years ago.
Did you know how to use the iPod the first day you got it?
No.
Did I know? No, I needed some help.
It had a black screen, didn't it? There were only a couple of buttons.
I could get that. I could get the screen on and all that. But
When you got your cell phone and you took it out of the box,
I didn't know it's
I haven't crossed that bridge yet.
your cell phone therapy.
Yeah, you don't know how to use all those functions.
Oh, functions, and God, can you even place a call? Did you know how to answer it the first time it rang? It's making noise. Push button.
Yeah. That's what it's like.
So there was a bridge that you needed to cross before you could even use your own cell phone or figure out the square root of 9. That's the same thing we're talking about here.
yeah.
If I don't know, I'd like to know.
A willingness.
A willingness has to occur. Still a not know.
To get from here to there, you have to be willingness
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, I do not know. If I knew, bless you. If I knew I wouldn't need to cross the bridge, I wouldn't need to learn how to use a cell phone.
Right.
I already know. There's no bridge.
You don't know.
I already know there's no bridge when I already know what we're talking about here.
And taking one foot at a time, not knowing, stepping with the right foot, the left foot, and not knowing and trusting.
Would you please sneeze again?
Right.
One? That's all you got? So that's what we're talking about, is this ground that you would cross over to get to the other side.
Yeah.
Now why? Why would you cross a bridge?
Unknown what's over there.
Okay.
And you're
Get there
walking
faster.
across something.
To get somewhere faster
There's
safer.
something below
and safer.
that you can't cross
Uh-huh.
without crossing the bridge.
Uh-huh. Yeah. What else? Why do you cross a bridge?
To get to the other side.
Yes. Well, you and the chicken, right?
Well, you want something different than what is where you are.
Aha. You want something different than where you are.
Yes.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Whoa, that's really scary.
That's pretty interesting.
Right.
Otherwise, you'd stay on this side, wouldn't you?
Otherwise, I
Yeah.
have no reason to leave it. I wouldn't even be looking for someplace else if I was at peace and
Yeah.
everything was just.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But in the
That's just
spiritual mode,
curious.
it's really
Might be.
scary, I think.
Yeah?
It's more, it's not like, in the trees, we used to play games in the trees and we jump from one limb to another.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Pretty good ones. And that was one thing, but that was all physical. All you could do was break your head or something.
Mm-hmm.
But when you step across in the spiritual aspect, when you have separated from where you are
Mm-hmm.
to where you're going unknown,
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a little frightening.
What if I told you you'll love it?
Huh?
What if I told you you'll love it?
I feel I will love it, but
What if it says right on the bridge? It says, "Ye who enter here, you will smile. This,
happy for
you'll
That's
be
a promise.
happy. You'll meet your
Perfect
source.
happiness.
Perfect happiness through here."
I want to know.
It says, the cost is
Free.
you be willing, just willing. You don't even have to do it. The bridge will even do it for you.
Just willing.
To let go of your fears, all of them.
So what's that one saying, flying over the cuckoo's nest? I mean, we're just, say we're out here thinking about it,
Mm-hmm.
and fantasizing about it,
Mm-hmm.
and not using the spiritual part about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, going over there's a saying about that.
A movie, you mean? One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Well, it's something to do with the movie, but it has something to do with thinking about what's on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
The whole reason for the title of the movie.
No, I'm just saying, does that have to, the grass is greener over there?
Oh, yes, the grass is greener over there. That's like Wendy said. If you think the grass is greener over here, you're not going to go over there.
Yeah.
You may look,
That's
curiosity,
what
climb up on the edge of the bridge. Says, "Can I see on the other side before I go? Because I really like it over here."
But your ego's telling you it's really great over here.
Mm-hmm. This is real. This is good. This is really good on this side. Why would I cross? Yeah, yeah. Interesting dilemma. What if I told you that A, it's going to be great. B, it's your source. You'll join up with your source. Okay. You'll have peace because it's made of peace. You'll have love. It's made on the other side of the bridge. It's made of love. All love. It's where love recognizes love.
I'm going to jog over it.
Oh, it's just a fantasy.
It's just how could that be true? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't it almost ingrained in us?
What?
You know, I mean, I just had a vision of like the salmon going back upriver,
Mm.
you know, to spawn.
Mm.
It's back home. That whole sense of back home.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
it's in us
Yes.
to cross that bridge,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean,
Yes.
that's the memory of
Yes.
who we are.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Ancient
Mm-hmm.
song,
Yes.
long forgotten,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
returning to life.
Turns out you cannot and will not rest
Mm-hmm.
until you cross that bridge. That's right. Yes. Yes.
that's sort of what we're bumping up against now, isn't it?
Mm.
Very much.
Oh, yeah. The thing is, when you get to the point where it's too painful to stay where you are,
Yeah.
it's easier.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Ah.
less risk. True.
Ah,
It's
less
better
risk.
Where you are.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're letting go of nothing
Yes.
but pain or
Yeah.
misery or
Yes.
you know, I mean, when
Yes.
when you think of what you're letting go of, it's really nothing.
Yes.
Because
Well, it's just like my prodigal son story. Remember the kid I kicked out?
Uh huh.
I haven't seen him for a year.
Okay.
Hey, Dad, can you go to court with me? Yeah, what's up? Well, I need you to tell the judge about this person. Oh, really? Okay, so our second court date was today. So this bridge that we're talking about, the prodigal son story,
Uh huh.
I want to draw it now. I draw it back. I'm
Yeah.
going over,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like, I need to do this, to build it, but there's just, my bridge is kind of like coming back up.
I see.
I'm not ready to
Yes.
go over.
Well, that's right. Because now, as you leads me right to the next point here, we just started to talk about over here a minute ago. We said, if you're unhappy enough with where you are, it's easier to cross the bridge.
Yeah,
That's kind of good. There's lower risk,
it's like
Of course, says watch out.
Mm-hmm.
What says what?
Watch out. Be careful. Because the more you think there is a problem here, that you're more that you are unhappy here because of here.
not because of your thoughts.
you are actually idolizing and drawn into here. The attraction to guilt,
That's good.
the equation that I could be
There is no
harmed
here.
here, me requires you to think that you're a body.
So good.
Because here, this side is the material. In our analogy here, we've got material on this side, and we've got spiritual on the other side.
So there is no here. It's the same thoughts you're going to carry with you from there to here.
We got the false world here,
It's
And
the
it-
world is in our mind.
and we think it's real. There's a cost to that.
That's a good cook.
And you won't be able to go across the bridge because you won't leave this. You are completely invested on this side as being real. And you want to take this side with you to the other side. Problem.
You want to take that
Can't.
side with you.
It's not a possible. It's the other side. This side is not real.
Right?
The only real and the only truth is on the other side.
Yes.
So if we try to project what our ego or what we perceive as being real and being better on the other side, we're carrying that with us. It's not. We're not going to cross the bridge.
What happens is the steps leading up to the bridge get longer and longer and longer.
I mean, my moon bridge turns into the Bay Bridge.
Yeah. And you keep saying, I'm going to the bridge. That's what I'm doing. This is the spiritual seeker. What I'm talking about now is a seeker. You're seeking the bridge. You're desiring to cross the bridge. So you say. You're preparing to cross the bridge. I'm going to go do satsangs. I'm going to read the Eckhart Tolle book again. I'm going to I have A Course in Miracles. I haven't done the workbook yet.
Whoa.
But I like it. I like the book.
Question.
Yeah.
If somebody in this room, okay, where they are now, on this side of the bridge,
Mm-hmm.
by a week from today, they walk through this doorway, okay, and plant themselves, are you going to be able to detect that difference?
Oh, that they have crossed the bridge?
Yes.
Well, the bridge we're going to talk about tonight. This is something that when you cross, this is your awakening. This is your release of the pains and the punishing beliefs
I like it.
that make the world. And so we would have to, you would not, we're talking about your enlightenment.
Right.
And so, no, you wouldn't even be, your body would be, you would let go of your body. This bridge that we're talking about.
So you couldn't find this room and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Well, actually, I take that
It
back
would
because
disappear.
you actually have any act of forgiveness is a bridge. It is a bridge. Now, the maximum bridge that we're talking about is your real release, your full release, and then there wouldn't even be a room to walk into, unless you decided to revisit it, like watching a movie. But you wouldn't have this dream like this. However, any act of forgiveness, yes, I will see that on your face. People walk through this door, and I watch it. I can see it. Everybody here who's had some forgiveness occur, and they come in a little more interested. I've seen it, and they can speak of it and share with knowingness. There's a big difference. Once you have actually benefited from changing your mind and doing a release instead of a fight.
That's about right. Yeah. Good start, isn't it?
Yeah, I experienced all those glimpses today, just kind of like talking to him and how he's doing and blah, 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 and it was just like, oh, let's go to C's Candy, Primal Valentine's, whatever, just kind of getting into this, but I was just like, unsure. It was weird.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, indeed, you're right there. You're perhaps looking at the bridge, but still fully
rooted in the past.
Right, rooted and invested in the material and making it better.
Yep.
You won't cross the bridge.
Isn't that why we're really told to make every effort we can
Yeah.
to sever,
Yeah.
all right, what we value.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
If we don't seriously sever
Yes.
what we value,
Yeah.
we're not going across the damn bridge. We're going to stay where we are.
That's right.
That's it.
And that's what we call, false forgiveness.
Crazy, upside down world.
Yep.
You know?
Why doesn't forgiveness work?
Yeah.
Valuing the values of
I said I forgive you.
I
But it's not.
I said the words.
Forgiveness
Yeah, I
has
said
gotta
the
be
word.
here.
We're
There's more
forgiving
to
our
it.
thoughts, not the
Can't
other
be
person.
out there. The forgiveness has to be in here.
Yeah.
In here.
Because it keeps showing up until it's
Uh-huh.
in here.
Uh-huh. Keep showing
And
up.
that's, I don't know what part of going over the bridge that is, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure it's...
that is like a daily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And that comes up with me, too, even on the way over here, in a way, before I got here. I opened up something, and it was about forgiveness. And I thought, wait a minute now.
Oh.
I'm in lesson 44, And,
Killer lesson.
And that's really,
God is the mind,
it
which I
is-
think.
It's really good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I started reading about forgiveness. And I've read a lot of different things about forgiveness. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, it may be... I'm not looking for a way around doing the work. But if there is a reasonableness, possibility of doing nothing, but that one guy who told us about a guy in a book, and he wrote a book on forgiveness, and I bought it, and I read it several times.
It's
There
personal.
just might be a connection
Mm-hmm.
because I think if I did fully forgive everything,
Mm-hmm.
that, wow, hell, I made all the mistakes. I did them all myself. I am totally, I totally wipe all that out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And then what? Wow, heavenly knows.
It doesn't take everything, though.
Yeah.
You don't have to forgive everything. You need to forgive one thing
Yourself.
completely.
Yeah. All things.
This is a bridge. This is the bridge. This is how you actually get a glimpse of the power of forgiveness, or what this whole book means.
Mm-hmm.
You've one thing
Yeah,
that's
one thing.
really bothering you.
Even though the ego keeps spewing.
This is the one. This is a good one to choose.
That's the right one.
Forgive that entirely, and your release is at hand. The ego is conquered. You stand now above
Yes.
the ego. See, the ego stands above you. You answer to its call. It tells you when to be afraid. It tells you when to be upset. It tells you when you've been unfairly treated.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We're talking about reversing that. You stand above the ego. It serves you now when you forgive. It's a whole different way to experience your world.
It feels like a form of arrogance, though. I mean, at an intellectual level, in mind, to think. At least my perception, I don't have a vision of what spirit is, because I know that it's beyond what I can conceptualize. But to put my mind above the ego, that's really challenging for me to.
I think it is.
But how does the ego work for you? You said you reverse it
Yes.
so that the ego now works for you.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Because now you live and you can play in a body and relate to other egos by choice. You
don't have to.
Oh,
relate
no.
to other egos.
no.
That's the freeing part of it. But you still
Yes.
have to forgive yourself,
Yes.
your creations or your projections.
You won't believe you're free of the ego until you control the ego. Until you're in a situation relating to other people, other egos, and you actually choose your response. This is now a great use of the world. Instead of it driving you and you're stuck with whatever you have to say, you have to defend, or you better attack or you're gonna lose. This will be conquered now with a simple switch of mind. You will now live, because if you sit in a body, you're still drunk on ego. Okay, so what we're talking about is crossing a bridge where you are no longer driven by your ego, but you drive your ego.
But then what does
had it happen
I
twice?
like the way that sounds.
Huh?
Yeah, I watched
Because-
myself with it twice today, and it was really fun. I just kept smiling, just thinking, gotcha.
Yeah, nice. That's it.
Oh, good. You
That's
exposed
it.
the ego.
That's it.
You observed and exposed it.
She was looking at her ego, about to respond, and she said, "Gotcha."
Yeah.
This is exactly what I mean.
When you
You
call
will
it out,
observe,
and
call it
recognize
out,
it,
you recognize it, observe your ego
you know
trying
what,
to run you.
It actually goes away. That whole power, that thought goes away
Yeah.
when you call it.
Yeah.
So you know what? That's ego. That's not me talking.
Yep. And then that anger fizzles. You might even laugh. Might even chuckle a little bit. So I'd rather not do that. And then you don't. Once you pull the plug on the ego,
Yeah.
Course says that.
Disappears.
His Course says that. The way to get rid of your ego is to stop feeding it.
You know, I
Stop giving it
experienced that.
attention.
I experienced that back and forth because we were in that courtroom.
Yep.
We got there early. Okay, let's go take a walk downtown, crossing that bridge.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
that physical bridge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it felt really good, just kind of walking with my son and, hey, check that out. Whatever, But what I'm saying is that I had a really good time, but then when I started looking at all the little, what the hell did you buy? Well, I just bought a pipe. Oh, really? And after we're finished, hey, Dad, can you pull in here? Sure. What are you going to get? Oh, that marijuana card I have. You see what I'm saying? This drawbridge just kept on.
The prodigal son came home with a marijuana card.
No, he didn't come.
Stop on the way to court.
He didn't come home. He didn't come home. What I'm saying, I just met him there.
Ah, very good. This
See
is
what
more
I'm saying?
accurate.
We're gonna
That's
get it
much
again.
more accurate. Very
Well,
good,
what I'm
Mario.
saying, I'm talking about this like,
Good.
I'm pretty sure you're going to see clearly if you don't use this. Anyway, it was a
Yeah. That's
nice
interesting.
bridge. It was nice to
Yeah,
see.
that's good. You met him there. Very good. Think about that. You met him there. It's very good. Very good. Okay. Anybody else want to mention anything about bridges before we jump into the meeting? Okay. Turn to, this is text, page 352. Dick, what page?
352 text.
352.
Thank you.
What's his name's not here tonight.
I know, John's not here.
What's that guy?
John.
We'll have to channel.
Thank you. Please just
Text.
bark that out when I say that. Thank you. Thank you.
352.
Same place we've been for a little
I
while.
think we're going to get on 353 today because
God, Dick, there's only one sentence for us to get over there.
Yeah.
Could happen. I'm feeling good. And this is chapter
reading
17.
this number one.
17.
Chapter 17, section 2.
It's dead.
Yeah, we done it. Yeah.
Okay.
He wants to travel.
Chapter 17, section 2, paragraph 2. And he says, in the previous paragraph, he says, can you imagine how beautiful those you forgive will look to you?
Such a good.
He's talking about fantasy. He says, God, even in your best fantasies here, you can't imagine how freeing it is to forgive somebody and start over. Forgive them their past entirely and just let it all go and be present. Wow. Yes, please.
No?
Paragraph 2.
Yes.
This liveliness is not a fantasy. It is the real world, bright and clean and new, with everything sparkling under the open sun. Nothing is hidden here, for everything has been forgiven, and there is no fantasies to hide the truth. The bridge between that world and this is so little and so easy to cross that you could not believe it. Believe it is the meeting place of worlds so different. Yet this little bridge is the strongest thing that touches on this world at all. This little step, so small it has escaped your notice, is a stride through time into eternity, beyond all ugliness into beauty that will enchant you, and will never cease to cause you wonderment at its perfection.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. What's it talking about? What's the Course talking about here?
Forgiveness.
But it's
Having forgiven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is forgiveness? Anybody?
Right?
What is forgiveness?
That nothing
Letting
would never
it
really
go.
happen. Like, you were never really harmed.
Okay.
Just let go, letting go. To me, it felt like today, this morning, when we were having that when I was in that good world, it felt like living a hot air balloon. Go.
Uh-huh. Off it goes. Floats up. No strings attached.
Yep.
So Wendy says is that something never happened. So that means that you don't have to punish or worry about or react to something that didn't happen. Mario says it's a letting go. It's a release. That means you're not still working it and struggling with it. No, you just let it go.
No charge.
It's peace. There's no charge anymore because you see it differently now. There was a charge. You don't need forgiveness if there wasn't a charge. Did you know that? You don't need forgiveness if there wasn't a charge. The whole idea is that there's nothing to forgive. What else is forgiveness? What else?
Well,
What does it mean?
It's being in the present,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
And knowing, and in the present you see the holiness of the other person, and you see that you both stand there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Releasing all that baggage
Releasing.
of the past.
And then seeing somebody for who they really are.
Uh-huh.
Or all who they are.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. And how they are. Yeah.
It shifted how you're seeing it.
Yes. 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 That's a miracle. Shift in how you're seeing it. See how miracle and forgiveness are really quite tied together? Forgiveness without a miracle is a lie. Why? Why would I say that? Anybody?
Because you still believe the
You're still
harm was
holding
Still
done.
holding grievances.
You're still holding grievances.
Sure.
You still believe that it is the way it is, that way you saw it.
You're still going to suffer,
Mm-hmm.
and it's only going to be a temporary fix, like a Band-Aid, but it's really never going to really let go of that pain. That's
Like biting your tongue. As long as you bite your tongue, you won't say what you want to say.
Yeah.
But you didn't say it.
because you're not above the battleground.
That's
It's
pretty
tied
good.
to
Guilt.
Huh?
It's tied to guilt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Deeply?
It's tied to our core,
Yeah.
our
Yes.
core belief in the sin and guilt of who we think we are.
Yes. Yes. It's deep.
It's
Forgive. There's more to forgiveness than saying the
We can't even
words.
see it,
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yes.
right? We can't
Yeah.
see it.
Yes. Yes. We, the ego-drunk, individual,
Right.
separated
Right.
person who checks in the mirror to see if you're still alive,
Doesn't even see
doesn't
it.
see it. No, that's correct. That's
we're
absolutely
blind
correct.
to it.
That's why this book is 1,300 pages. Is what it's going to do is sneak up on you. And the book's going to sneak up on you and show you who you really are. Your real consciousness. And I use that word very loosely here. You see that. You experience that for a few moments. Like, I think it was Carol last week. Well, you just said now. You said, gotcha, with the ego. You actually step outside the ego for a few moments. And you see your ego. Now, if you can ever see your ego, that means you are not your ego.
Right.
Simple enough?
Yeah.
If you can see it, you're not it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can that sometimes start with biting your tongue? I'm still back on your biting your tongue.
Yeah,
'Cause
cool.
I think we do, you catch yourself,
Yes.
bite your tongue. Now I got to look at this differently.
Yes.
And that's when you shift to looking at your ego.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I encourage
You have to kind of-
I encourage the
it's
tongue
easy
biting.
to react, because it's easy
Yes.
to react, and that's what you're trying not to do.
Yes.
So you do have to bite your tongue sometimes.
Yes,
Until you
you-
get really good at it.
Yes, you do.
Until you can stop your thoughts by
Well,
your
until
tongue.
because there's triggers, even though you can be beyond it for years.
Yes.
Somebody can
come back and you have to.
Yes. That's why the tongue biting isn't enough.
It's not enough, but it's a good place to start.
It's a good place to start.
It's a good start because at least you're not here.
It hasn't come out your mouth.
Yes.
What you
haven't
say is
put
what
it
you're
in the
teaching
universe.
yourself.
Yes.
We're teaching ourselves but it starts in the thought and then the tongue.
Yeah. You won't bite your tongue unless you decide you want to not say this. That's approaching the bridge for sure. If you say, well, I'll go ahead and say my mind and how guilty and painful and how much harm you've caused me. I'll go ahead and say that and then I'll forgive her. That won't work. No, if I say that you come to these classes. You come to these classes a few times and you do the workbook, you listen to us, you're going to find out, some point in your mind, you're going to say, wait, if I say that, I'm going to commit them to guilt and me to their control over me, and I will be actually idolizing that I'm a victim to them.
Over me. And then it goes back into that victim thing.
So I can't let it go after that. And they won't let it go either after you just attack them. Now forgiveness would be an absolute utter lie. No, but I forgive you for how much you hurt me. Pretty soon, if not already, that's a perverse sentence. Once you get Course in Miracles, it's a miscreation, it's a fantasy, it is an absolute lie and a manipulation of words. And the reason why this book exists is because the word forgiveness, instead of being a release, is an attack. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an attack on yourself, your faults, whoever you think you are.
Turns out that's the real bad news. But there's
Even
this.
if you think you're a nice person.
Yes. Well, don't you think you're nicer because you forgive?
Well,
You forgave Mario? So aren't you a nicer person for that?
I get that it's not Mario. What I have a hard time with is forgiving myself.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is where the real work is done. This is where the real work is done for your freedom.
Yeah.
You're the reason why you need forgiveness. Right, isn't it, Mario? It's your thoughts.
You know, it's funny. I have this kind of like connection still with my son. I mean, it's harder because he's like bloodline or, whatever, an extension of me or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Child.
Yes.
But, the thing is that when I get
accidents happen.
No, there's another word for that.
Oh.
I'll tell you later. But, this prodigal son thing, I haven't seen it for over a year. But, we had purchased a phone, like a family plan. Well, he was on my family plan. And this family plan was costing me $240 a month. Okay? But I was paying for that peace of mind. And, oh, by the way, as I dropped them off, I got this phone thing that's bugging me. I feel like I'm still connected with this thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So do you still have the phone? Are you still paying the bill?
I'm still paying the bill for the piece, but there's a price. Now it's my.
Yes.
It's like I'm connected to this.
There's a price.
How are you going to cross the bridge if you're connected?
Well, I'm going to disconnect it.
Yeah. All right, now.
So anyway, but maybe this was the day for our piece, crossing that bridge to let them know. Like, guess what? I have to disconnect it because it's not my responsibility to pay for your phone, and I can't afford it. Blah blah blah. Can we do something about it? And goes, well. Kind of like looked at me, goes, well, I can't do anything about it. Only you can. Okay, I just want to let you know. And said it in a nice way. And it was pleasant. It was kind of like we built that bridge to that point instead of like, blink.
Yeah.
I'm trying to just find. Trying to do it in a loving, nice, crossing that bridge way.
Yes. Well, I think
I'm catching all these like, oh God.
What he's talking about is a clean bridge crossing. And we just said a moment ago that you can't be on both sides at the same time.
Yeah.
And in order to truly cross a bridge, you have to have an idea of what's on the other side and what you're leaving behind.
Yeah.
Turns out, Course says, it's more important to get an idea of what you're leaving behind, because the other side is what you really are. The other side is where love meets love. The other side is peace, happiness, sharing. It takes care of itself.
Yeah, so
Very little talk here about the other side, isn't there?
Yes.
About heaven.
Yes.
It mentions it in some flowery places, but most of the book is like the last chapter we just read. It was pretty tough, wasn't it? It kept pointing at you. We found the problem in your relationship, and it's you.
Because we have to
We
recognize.
found the problem with your sleeplessness. It's you. I found out why you're angry.
That's you.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the same.
That chapter pounded us
Yeah.
That's what it's the same.
with showing you the illusion and it even says love. It says, you think you're in love?
So right on.
His illusion and reality of love. And it says the love that you've been engaging in is extremely expensive. And it
Very
makes you
costly,
afraid.
too.
Very costly. And it's made you afraid of the true love.
Yeah.
It really hammered that in. And it's talking about this side of the bridge. Before you can cross the bridge, you got to recognize, because Wendy said, somebody said, I'm done with this side.
I did.
I'm ready now to explore the other side.
Yeah.
And it turns out there's a cost
There's
to crossing
nothing
that
I leave
bridge.
behind that I want.
Yeah, this is really important. It's really important. And the Course spends a lot of time in the workbook now helping you recognize the burden you lay upon yourself with your habitual thinking and your mind wandering and your addiction to the past. How heavy that is. How you don't even notice, because you carry it all the time. You don't even notice how heavy it is. That's why in chapter
We relive it.
14. Chapter 14 starts out with saying, like the quote, you who are miserable must first recognize that you are miserable.
That's ours. We know that one.
Ah,
Right, it's true.
you have to first recognize.
Yeah.
And you have to experience it.
And
Yeah, and and I experienced
Chicken and
that
egg.
all today.
Yes.
I went home, when I got home, I went straight to bed. I was so exhausted by it.
Yep. Right,
I
Mario.
was
Very
pulling
good.
this whole thing through the whole...
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But you know what I mean?
Oh,
It's just
yeah.
like I felt anchored, like
Oh,
I
yes.
couldn't really cross. Because I
Oh,
was
yeah.
just like,
Very good.
all these things.
Yep.
And I'm like, I couldn't...
Yep. Naturally.
yeah.
I was,
It's another coal to
That's
the
right.
fire.
That's right. That's right. Because there's so much investment.
but
in
I'm
this
glad that I did it, because now I could realize, okay, wait a minute. That phone really doesn't have to be disconnected.
But you know what? When I say to myself, okay, I'm doing these things, what are the things costing me? My peace.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's also
It's like
sometimes
my peace is not
things
for
like
sale.
disconnecting the phone. It feels like you feel the guilt of some kind that you're hurting
Well,
the person sometimes,
well,
or like you have an unsettled feeling about doing that sometimes.
Well, no, I do, because I was feeling like, okay, well, if I pay for the phone, hey, I'm going to be at peace. But let me unpay for the phone. Now, I'm still going to get the knock at the door. Hey, Dad. It's more to that. I mean, that's the least of my problems. I'd rather pay for something
So I
than...
was just trying to say that what I learned from similar situations, that when I do such thing like disconnecting, symbolically speaking, from a loving place, there's no doubt or no guilt or anything because I know I still love that person, and or I forgave myself or whatever I felt toward that person, and that way disconnecting, I feel at peace. My heart doesn't beat up faster when I talk about it. I'm just completely grounded because I
Did it
feel
through
just
love?
completely
Yeah.
open to that person.
Cleared it out.
Wow.
Because at first, when I experiment with, how to be open and loving, I just let everybody take everything, and then I kind of felt like I'm lost. I feel tension. I want to give to the person, but it doesn't feel right, and just kind of started setting more like my mind, where I'm doing certain things, but without any kind of emotions
With
or
intention.
anger or. And that feels more peacefully. I feel like that would be right for me right now.
Yeah.
And I have no
The
anger or
attachment
something.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like giving something, wanting it back.
I like what you said.
It's yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you really didn't mean it. Like,
It's clean because she's coming from love,
yeah.
and you could do anything.
And it's okay to take care of, like, saying you. If
That's
you're
what I'm
feeling
learning.
the separateness, you say,
Uh-huh.
hey, I need to disconnect this phone. And you feel strongly, you're taking care of you.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that way you take care of him. You're not blaming
Yeah,
anyone.
and it's really not about the money, about the phone. It's just like
not.
it's like a symbol, like it's still attached to something that he's taking advantage or whatever, you know. And I'm just like getting stuck in that.
You just want the best for your son.
Well, for me, when I had to detach from my children, it was more, the phone was that peace of mind that I was giving something in order to appease my concerns about them.
Yeah,
Like my fears about, if something happens, they won't be able to call me, right? But in reality, they're adults.
yeah,
It's not their. It's not my job. It's
Right.
not my. It's
Not your
it's
business
the cost.
right.
It's not the monetary cost, but it's the emotional, physical, and the spiritual cost of saying, okay, my peace of mind is dependent upon my child being able to call me.
Yeah,
Yes. And all that goes behind that.
That is a
Yes.
huge thing
Wow, that was
in
big.
this country.
Yeah.
I tell you, this damn cell phone thing is a cancer. It really is like a cancer. Even worse.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
that
Okay,
instant-
it's even worse than that.
It really feeds the ego a lot.
No,
Oh,
no
it's
people, no
sick.
one goes down the
It's
street.
the
Even
Lord
little
your
babies in
hands.
the carriage and the mothers that paying no attention.
What happened?
In the
Everything in the loop where we-
Kids, and I'm like,
No, you still
Crazy.
you can't disengage because you still have that attachment.
And everybody thinks they need that cell
the
phone.
wrath of everyone when I do not answer my phone for days because I don't charge it. I don't pay attention to charging the phone because my life is doing different things.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't matter.
Right, it's like turning it over a little bit for me because I'm so overwhelmed in my life right now to be concerned about whether
One more
someone
thing.
can call me. I will get to it. It's like, and if someone really needs to be in touch with me, there's my land phone. You know, I mean, it's,
You're already overwhelmed. Yep.
Now, so there are many, many bridges in A Course in Miracles to move from the struggle of whether or not I should keep my cell phone charged, whether or not I should afford cell phones for my kids. Isn't that a responsible parent? Even though they got their own marijuana card, they're buying their own bicycles, and they want you to meet them at court so that you can talk the judge out of putting them in prison. Now, the world will provide many, many difficulties and opportunities for you to lose your peace.
yeah.
In all the situations, whether you're a father handling your kid, trying to keep him out of jail or get him in jail sooner, or you're handling loved children who you feel you this connection thing, or you're handling co-workers, or your loving relationship, it's all better when it's done from a sense of peace, rather than a sense of fear or impending loss, or, and actually, this is the biggie and the only one, guilt.
Yeah. That's the upside down part.
yeah.
Turns out guilt.
Because I'm adding that ingredient in there, and it's just like it doesn't. But you know what? I'm glad that I'm here today and I'm glad I crossed that bridge, and we had this topic about bridge because I was on it. It was really weird, and it was kind of like, and all these different things. But now I know where I need to be.
Yes, and know that you will not successfully cross the bridge if you're hanging on to the previous.
Yeah.
You're just looking at the bridge. Oh, this is a nice bridge. Maybe I'll yeah. So now that, just to give you an example of how far Course in Miracles goes. Okay, now we talked about forgiveness a lot, talked about guilt a lot in these last couple of weeks, months, years. You know, what about the higher reaches of A Course in Miracles? What about your true enlightenment? What about the actual release of this material world? How is that even possible?
Right.
Aren't we using books? Isn't a book of the world? How much? I mean, this is material. How are we ever actually gonna get away from the material if we keep talking about it?
We experience it sometimes.
Yeah.
Here.
Yes.
I mean, I find that sometimes when I'm not intellectualizing and I'm reading this, there is a sense of peace that comes over, not from my body intellectual, but a sense of, I'm doing, this is my pathway to the bridge. Does that make sense?
Yes. We can borrow from each other and share and reach a little further than we might on our own in this room. It's a little easier when there are others who are encouraging you.
It's so true.
But to me, the real movie is really what is going on.
Remember we said
thinking.
Yeah. Right.
The show.
Yes,
It's not mind if a kid pops up here, goes there, doesn't want to go to court, or previous wife in the same kind of situation. Those things don't come together. Okay. What they do is they just take your piece each time.
Yes.
And if you watch, you try to control your thoughts so you don't get into that stuff, then guess what? You're much more in charge. The ego's less apt to try to beat you up because he knows damn well you're watching what's going on and you're not going to allow it. No?
Yep. This is the truth. You change your mind, you change the world. Yes, this is exactly right. Now, how much further does the Course go than that?
Oh, Jesus.
To me, it's just getting to the place where it didn't really happen and there was no harm done is big.
That's pretty big.
That's big for me.
That's pretty big.
It's like when I'm being screamed at, I have to remember that the harm didn't happen.
But there's more. And some say it's even the easy way is somehow climb up on the trees on this side and see over the bridge a little bit. How long is it anyway before I commit? How far is it to go? Is it even? Could I do it? Is this bridge real? Well, let's take a look.
Try the next daily lesson. I mean,
let's look at Dick's lesson, the one he's working on today.
44.
Turn 44. So turn to workbook, page 69. Anybody?
Workbook 69.
That's cute.
You started on January 1st.
You guys lose your lesson.
Oh, yeah.
Is that right?
It's right here.
Yeah, I did. It's the first time
Not
I've
in the
ever
letter.
started my January.
It's right along your little calendar study guide.
That's right.
Boy.
This is the 44th day of the year. Let's just read through this. This is a really amazing, wonderful lesson.
Oh my gosh, just the title.
Oh,
I'm telling you.
This is today's
Telling you. This is today's lesson.
This is today's lesson.
Yeah.
Starting 1st of
that was
January.
my day.
Number
Mario,
44.
you want to start?
There it is.
Me?
Yep.
Lesson 69.
No, it's lesson 44. Page 69.
Page 69.
I was on lesson 69, sorry.
Sorry about that. It's
Page
tough.
44?
It's tough getting
Lesson
this.
44, page 69.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Dick, you ready?
What's that for?
Could you read?
Are you on page 69 in the
I
workbook?
sure am.
Would you start reading?
I've been there since last night.
That's yeah.
10 o'clock in the chair.
Yeah.
Getting a whiff of this.
Oh my God, that's right. This is,
You
yeah,
start
this is
reading with
44.
the lesson the next
Yeah.
day. That's
Yeah.
great. That's great.
Yeah.
Well,
Today.
the title of this, God is the light in which I see. Today, we are continuing the idea for yesterday, adding another dimension to it.
You're so curious what it is? God is my source. I cannot see apart from Him.
That's coming
yesterday.
up, and after that, it's about the mind.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay. So it says, you cannot see in darkness, and you cannot make light. You can make darkness and then think you see in it, but light reflects life and is therefore an aspect of creation. Creation and darkness cannot coexist, but light and life must go together, being but different aspects of creation.
Wow.
Reaching up into the ether here, but it's true.
Now, you just spend 20 minutes just reading that first paragraph. For me, it gets more enlightening. Okay.
Enlightening.
Really, what in the hell it's saying?
Yes. Okay, now somebody take a deep breath and get ready for this next paragraph.
I have it all underlined for a long time ago.
Wendy, you ready?
In order to see, you must recognize that.
In order to cross the bridge, you must go ahead.
In order to cross the bridge, you must recognize that light is within, not without. You do not see outside yourself, nor is the equipment for seeing outside you.
Whoa!
Right, that's right.
You better read that sentence again.
We don't use our peepers, our eyes to see, our body's eyes to see.
Uh-huh.
You do not see outside yourself, nor is the equipment for seeing outside you.
You know you're reading A Course in Miracles when you hear a sentence like that.
Outside yourself.
You start to recognize the same teaching being taught over and over and over again when you read a sentence like that. And this is over 700 pages into the book.
That's like I give meaning to everything I see. So whatever I see, that angry person out there, is really what I see is what I see. It's what I see. It's not that this person.
Yeah.
I'm giving meaning to it.
Keep reading.
An essential part of this equipment is the light that makes seeing possible. It is with you always, making vision possible in every circumstance.
Wow.
That light is within, not within.
Pretty heavy duty. Good news.
So whatever we're seeing is what's really going on inside of us. Projecting out is what we're seeing.
Must be. Must be, since the equipment is in you. You see with light. And it says light is a reflection of life? What? Did you read that in paragraph 1? Did you skip over that? Light is a reflection of life? How important is life to you?
Wow.
And it goes on.
Oh, yeah.
Light is within.
Yeah. Shall we continue?
Today we are going to attempt to reach that light. For this purpose, we will use a form of exercise which has been suggested before and which we will utilize increasingly. It is a particularly difficult form of the undisciplined mind. Difficult form for the undisciplined mind, and represents a major goal of mind training. It requires precisely what the untrained mind lacks. Yet this training must be accomplished if you are to see.
There's hope. You can do it. He says, don't worry, you can do it.
This is just like an introduction to beginning meditation.
It is. Meditation is a part of this for certain. Absolutely. So rather than continue to read that, let's jump to tomorrow's lesson.
45.
44.
Let's go to 45.
Yeah.
Let's continue reading here. Wow.
God is the mind.
Cecilia?
God is the mind with which I think. Today's idea holds the key to what your real thoughts are. They're nothing that you think, just as nothing that you think you see is related to vision in any way.
Okay, let's just stop
Hold
for a
on.
moment. Let's just stop for a minute.
Stop right there with his two sentences.
Let that soak in.
So there's nothing happening out here at all except for what we're thinking.
It sure isn't what you think you think. Just like what your eyes report.
Yes.
Nothing
It's
is
what
ever
you
as it
think you
seems.
think.
It's not what it seems. That's
So
right.
when somebody's angry, yelling, it's like seeing it through the light is saying, I see a hurting person.
And every possible thing that your eyeballs can report to you have nothing to do with vision. Your eyeballs do not have to do with vision. We're defining this word. You're starting to vision a spiritual book. We're starting to get the sense that it doesn't mean vision, like when you go to the optometrist, means vision. No, it must be something else.
As you envision your future life.
It must be something way else.
So what's the difference between spiritual vision?
That's the whole point, Mario.
Huh?
Spiritual vision versus optometry corrected vision.
Human
Okay, because I'm going back.
Human eyeball
I'm going
vision.
back to that bridge,
Yep.
and the metaphor for me is like
The door.
that bridge that I built to this side,
Mm-hmm.
from this side.
Mm-hmm.
I just keep on forgetting to close the door.
Yeah, you're not crossing the bridge.
Keep seeing the past.
Looking at the bridge, maybe. Maybe.
Isn't if his recognition, he's not closing the door, is still walking on the bridge. If he's recognizing,
Nothing
but
is ever-
someone's recognizing
No,
me, but
well, you see what I was recognizing this if I didn't close it, or my kind of like. Do you understand where I'm at?
Yeah, you're definitely focusing too much on trying to get on the bridge
Okay.
rather than what the bridge is and what does
Okay.
it mean to cross the bridge.
Okay.
Is
Mario, you're good. I can tell.
yeah.
You're in good shape.
No, I'm fine. It's just that I know that this is all for me. It's just I know this was dimensional, but
Yeah.
I'm bringing too much into it, and I just don't know. Maybe I'm letting go, but I'm not. I want to keep a little bit.
Yes.
Indulge.
Yes. Yeah, this is the difference between.
You want to have one foot on this side of the bridge, one foot on this one, and that's where the major
Yeah.
conflict is.
It's the difference between wish and will. And without the Holy Spirit, it's all just trying. It's not actually a release. Ulchi describes something that's much more a release. We will make a decision to end somebody's phone, let's say, or make some kind of a change in disconnect. It was her word. That's right, and it brought freedom because it was honest and it wasn't guilt laden. It's the kind of thing the Holy Spirit's guidance will help you do, is to release attack and fear and guilt in all its forms. And it will use the world and situations in the world where you get a chance to do that. Yeah, that's for sure.
Mark is going off.
And don't you ask the Holy Spirit specifically, like for help with that?
Yeah.
When you're dealing with issues like that,
Yes,
right?
with the exact issue. That's right.
In
That's right.
meditation.
Yes, meditation. Take a breath and be quiet for a moment and say, I don't know. Holy Spirit, please show me.
Oh, I don't know is a huge one for me.
Yeah.
This is the way to invite the Holy Spirit. The ego's so busy knowing what to do next. Holy Spirit's just quietly tapping his fingers going, I'm here if you want. While the ego's doing all these, yeah, that's right.
So, we've answered a really quick question. So, did the phrase "nothing is ever as it seems" come from the Course in Miracles, or did I just pull that from somewhere else?
Pull it somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, certainly fits though.
But it's pretty synonymous with what
Nothing
we
is
said.
ever as it seems.
I just didn't know because I've done a lot of reading and stuff in my life. And
Sure.
That's what just kind of...
But it certainly fits what we just read.
And it says there's nothing that you think you see bears any resemblance to what they
Yeah, certainly. Let's continue.
Okay. There's no relationship between what is real and what you think is real. Nothing that you think are your real thoughts resemble your real thoughts in any respect. Nothing that you think you see bears any resemblance on what vision will show you. Oh boy.
Wow. You ready for this? Go.
You think with the mind of God. Therefore you share your thoughts with Him as He shares His with you. They are the same thoughts because they are thought by the same mind. To share is to make alike or to make one. Nor do the thoughts you think with the mind of God leave your mind, because thoughts do not leave their source. Therefore, your thoughts are in the mind of God as you are. They are in your mind as well, where He is. As you are part of His mind, so are your thoughts part of His mind.
This is
This is terrible, isn't it?
this is right. This is kind of some of the
This is my
high.
first meeting I've had.
Yes, but it's mind expanding. It's beautiful, inviting, and it really elevates your worth.
Yeah.
God is in your mind. You are in God's mind. You two are sharing the same. Wow! And this is the truth. It is the ego's addiction to separateness and otherness that makes a fantasy that this is not true. But this is what's true. This is the other side of the bridge.
Wow.
Beautiful alignment and harmony. Beautiful. It's
When we're in our right mind, then we share the thoughts we share with God.
right.
And we always know that, because anything that doesn't feel loving or peaceful, it is not thoughts that we share with God.
Clearly.
The thoughts that we share with ego.
Yeah, clearly. And yet, the way this is written, you think with the mind of God. How far away can you be from God?
It says in the book, only a heartbeat away.
Wow!
Very far.
Not very
We're
far.
in the mind of God.
Not very
We're there,
far.
We're in there.
Yeah, this is very encouraging.
Because
Those of
when
you
we're
that-
wrapped up in our ego and we feel like, God, get out of the way, we forget that we are part of His mind and our thoughts are part of His.
Pretty cool.
We're right there.
Yeah, maybe it's not as far as you thought.
There's no journey.
I never left.
There's no distance.
A journey without distance.
It's part of the same mind.
I mean, we're right there.
Yeah.
In fact, we are there. We just have this little veil over our eyes and we don't see it. It's kind of like when you close your eyes and you think there's nobody there. And you open up.
Can you answer a technical question?
Sometimes.
Do you think when God listens to what you're saying most of the time, that He's really prone to laughter? Huh?
Oh, yeah.
I would think absolutely, even though he said the same thing goes through here 50 times maybe in this book, right?
Paragraph.
He said, hey, wait, whoops, there he goes again. My God,
Every
he's
time-
back at it.
Every time the ego engages.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got to be
That
laughable.
doesn't see ego.
It's laughable when I check myself doing it. Right?
It's hilarious
Yeah.
to the Holy Spirit
Right. That's what I say to Jesus.
and to Jesus.
Yeah.
There was a picture of Jesus
He's
that
the
hung in my
in-between.
home as a child and all my life as I was growing up that my mother loved, and that was the face of the laughing Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh,
She loved that laughing Jesus.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know Denny Landon over in San Jose? He's a laughing Jesus, and it has a little subtitle. And Jesus laughing his head off, his eyes are rolling, and it says, "You're afraid of what?"
That's cool.
Yeah.
I've heard of the laughing Buddha. I've never seen a laughing Buddha.
Yeah. Look at that. It was
That'd be a wonderful thing to have.
It's another
to look at.
contradictory kind of
Instead of
thing.
the
Well, being taught in church, what,
Yeah,
and then seeing laughing Jesus.
like the laughing Buddha.
Paragraph 3. Where then are your real thoughts? Today we'll attempt to reach them. Oh, what a good lesson. They're all good. But isn't that great? Today we're going to do something. We're going to reach your real thought. Oh man, let's dig in. Now we'll have to look for them in your mind. Because that's where they are. They must still be there. Because they cannot have left their source. What is thought by the mind of God is eternal, being part of creation. Carol, you ready?
About the 3 5-minute practice period?
Sure.
Our 3 5-minute practice periods for today will take the same general form that we've used in applying yesterday's idea. We will attempt to leave the unreal and seek for the real. We will deny the world in favor of truth. We will not let the thoughts of the world hold us back. We will not let the beliefs of the world tell us that what God would have us do is impossible. Instead, we will try to recognize that only what God would have us do is possible.
One more paragraph. Olchi.
We will also try to understand that only what God would have us do is what we want to do.
Wow. I think you got to read that again. That's a whole different orientation here.
We will also try to understand that only what God would have us do is what we want to do.
That's really interesting.
Is that trusting it, that
That's
God
what
has
it's
our highest good?
Yeah. And we will also try to remember that we cannot fail in doing what He would have us do. There is every reason to feel confident that we will succeed today. It is the will of God.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Only what God would have us do is what we would want.
What a nice little switch of mind
It's reversing.
to somehow get into that beautiful surrender to the truth. You know, that God's will is something that you would actually want.
Look at the title of this again. It says, God is the mind with which I think. That's really private company, isn't it? Right there?
Yeah.
Full time.
So maybe it's automatic.
Yeah.
The whole idea that you are apart from God is just a fantasy that never was true.
Yeah, it's not true.
Whoa. How do we reach
When
your
our
real
thoughts spin
thoughts?
off.
Yeah.
We just,
Into false thoughts.
yeah.
False thoughts that aren't true, which means they won't remain, which means they have no effect. We're going to leave those behind today, he says.
False thoughts and grievances.
And all the flavors of false thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, 44, 45 lessons in, you're starting to get a sense of what a real thought is and a false thought. Just barely. But then you fall into just a moment or two usually. Only have 3 5-minute practice periods. But they're powerful. Their amount of release.
I said I miss those days.
Yeah. Yeah, it does ask for more a little later. And even before. Okay, let's turn back to page, in the text, page 352.
We're at 53 now.
Oh, we are?
Didn't we read the first?
We are in page 353 now. Woo!
Hooray!
Thanks, Olchi. Update. Text, page 353.
Okay.
Mario, you ready?
What paragraph?
This is paragraph 3.
This step, the smallest ever taken, is still the greatest accomplishment of all in God's plan of anointment.
Anointment? That's all right. Not a bad word. Atonement.
Atonement.
Oh, sorry. Sounds like a Jewish rabbi.
At 1 minute.
All else is learned, but this is given, complete and wholly perfect. No one but Him who planned salvation could complete it thus. The real world in its loveliness you learn to reach. fantasies are all undone, and no one and nothing remains still bound by them. And by your own forgiveness you are free to see, yet what you see is only what you made with the blessing of your forgiveness on it. And with this final blessing of God's Son upon himself, the world perception, born of the new perspective he has learned, has served its purpose.
Do you know what we're talking about here? This is what the Course calls the real world. The same false world, exact same one, but it's seen through forgiving eyes. It's seen with vision. The same world that you made, but now you see it for what it is. Instead of it controlling you, you have been controlling it the entire time. What a break. What a relief. This bridge, this vision we're talking about, this is awakening, spiritual awakening we're talking about. This step, the smallest ever taken, of course, calls it a journey without distance to a goal that has never changed. Yep. This step, the smallest ever taken, is still the greatest accomplishment of all God's plan of atonement. Yep. It's the greatest accomplishment of all in the plan of atonement, because it's the only accomplishment of all in the plan of atonement.
And the most useful.
Yes.
Atonement.
Oh, yeah.
By far.
What you need the most.
Right.
Yeah, for your release.
The forgiveness, the correction.
Yes.
Let's see.
Yes. Now, next sentence is interesting. All else is learned. All else is learned. What is learning? In Course 12 about learning, it says learning is change. The Course says.
Change.
Yep. And it says learning is not required in heaven.
Yeah. And neither thinking.
Uh-huh. It also says, beautifully, it says the creative, the truly creative, this is a quote, the truly creative have nothing to learn.
That makes sense.
Can you feel that?
Yeah. That makes sense.
The truly creative have nothing to learn.
Of course. That's why we have so many courses.
Well, when I think of creative, I think of art.
Sure, that's fine. The truly artistic, the truly free to paint a painting. Should they learn what to paint first? No. Should they learn
strategy?
You need to go learn what a proper flower looks like before you paint it. That's a restrained, struggling artist, I will guarantee you.
Let's put it in a box.
The truly creative will say, I'm going to invent a flower right now. This is my flower. They had nothing to learn. They just had to create. Let it flow.
The canvas becomes our life, and then we paint our life.
You see the difference?
Yeah.
The truly creative have nothing to learn. Now, what we're talking about is the bridge. You do need to learn where the bridge is. You need to learn what it takes to get on it and cross it. You do need to learn where it goes and why possibly would you want to go. And now you need to learn how valueless is the side you're on. Otherwise, you will not go.
Yes.
All this is learned. All this is a change. Because before A Course in Miracles, or, this is one of many spiritual paths. Before you get on a spiritual path, materiality is real, and it's all you have. And so you have to protect it, and you have to groom it, and you have to make it live longer. You have to make your happiness come from making your material situation better. After your spiritual awakening, even the first one, now you recognize, even with a poor physical situation, you can still have happiness. This is the difference of a spiritual journey. A true spiritual seeker, a true spiritual awakening is that you find happiness that does not include the material. The material is not required for the happiness.
Right.
Yes.
The source.
You tap into that.
Yeah.
This is what a holy instant is. You tap into this happiness somehow is now inside, independent of what's out there. Now that's worth following. But I must say, it's learned. It's learned from where you are that would deny that happiness is on the inside. And I say where you are, before course, BC. Huh? Happiness is on the outside, go get it. And bring it in. Big difference.
Yeah.
Now, so this is interesting. Let's read this paragraph again now. Okay? It says, this step, the smallest ever taken, yet still the greatest accomplishment of all in God's plan of atonement. All else is learned, but this bridge, this crossing of the bridge, really crossing it, this is given, complete and wholly perfect. No one but Him who planned salvation, this is the Holy Spirit, could complete it thus. The real world, in its loveliness, you learn to reach. The real world, in its loveliness, you learn to reach. Fantasies are all undone. And that's what we've been reading about in these past sections, is letting go of the fantasies. The fantasies seem so valuable, but they're so expensive. How valuable is something that costs more than it gives? That has to be learned. That's why we spent so much painful time in chapter 16. You have to learn how expensive are the special relationship, how false are its promises, over and over again. Had to learn that, so you're willing to let it go. So that's why it says fantasies are all undone, and no one and nothing remains still bound by the fantasies. And by your own forgiveness, you are set, you are free to see. By your own release, by your own releasing of the fantasies that they never held a value worth hanging on to, are you free to see. Not going to come to you from the outside. It is your own forgiveness, your own release of what it means to you. It's truly the good news.
Oh, no, I see it. And I even see it like in some that I read where the word becomes flesh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we distinguish between two.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, to the next step.
Yep, that's right. It will now be seen everywhere. Your mind heals. Now you see the truth everywhere. It's represented. Mm-hmm. And what was an act of fear is now seen as a call for love. Mm-hmm. Of course it is. That's all it is. It's not an attack. This is not really an attack. Yeah, that's the healed mind. What you see, this world, okay, the healed mind, what you see is only what you made. It's only what you made with the blessing of forgiveness on it now. That changes everything. The blessing of forgiveness. And we talked about forgiveness being this release that it isn't real. It isn't capable of harming you. You thought it was, and you learned through your coursework and through your releasing and through designed to be happy instead of right. Willing to be happy even when the world says you should be sad.
Right.
No, I'm going to be happy instead. Thank you very much. You keep your way. Right? I'm going happy today.
Sorry, but
regardless of all that, when you do that for the first time,
in the face of anything,
you found the source of happiness that cannot be assailed.
And nothing anybody could say or do could take away our happiness.
Because the censor of happiness, the one who wants it, is the one who gives it. Oh, giving turns out to be how to receive. You gave yourself a day off from grief and attack. You say, I'm just going to be happy regardless of all this trouble. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, end of the day, you've been happy. You're having everything you always wanted. Wow. I mean, there's only one way to do that, and that's to do it, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's learned. But this allows you to actually get on the bridge. Once you've done that once, you realize, well, if I can do it for today, given all the terrible things that I'm going on in my life, and I did that for even 10 minutes. Once you discover that freedom, which, by the way, is what the Course calls the key to salvation. Once you discover you can do that, you can live in a few moments of happiness, even though
Because we hold the key.
all that pressure to be unhappy is present. See, that's the value of the world now, is to give you a little bit of hell invitation. A little says, no way you can be happy. And you say, pass on that. I'm going for it anyway. That's all it is. That's why these are only 3 5-minute lessons. Because if you probably wouldn't try it if it said, I'm going to wish you 30 minutes of silence.
Your ego
I don't know.
in that 30 minutes to come back and trick you.
It's very clever this way. It kind of makes the fruit almost too far to reach, but you might really try for 5 minutes. That's my experience of it. I was like, all right, I'm really going to do it. Because it's crazy talk. Lesson 44, you're still early. It's crazy talk. But if you can touch it, or even get close enough to see it, now it might be true, or I want it to be true even. These are huge advances that the ego can't stand up to. This is part of your spiritual awakening, which means the release of your material beliefs. You're putting the bottle down. You're putting the addiction down. Just trying it. And the kind of release that can occur inside. The happiness, the invitation to live in light for a few seconds is too hard to resist.
I've tasted it.
Yes.
I've had that. I've been there. That's why where I am now is so much more challenging.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just so sad that it's really our culture that has given us all these fantasies.
Mm-hmm.
There's a study done on the happiest people in the world on Earth, and it's like some tribe in Africa, and they're above sustaining. There's enough food. They're not starving. But they have just enough, so they're sustained, and they have all their roles in their family, and it's just about your tribe and your family and surviving and living, and they're really happy. Mm-hmm. But they don't have all the things that we have captured us. Right?
Yep.
So
they'll come. It will happen.
They grew up on the other side, so to speak.
Yeah, and they're still thinking about the other side. But I'll tell you, as soon as
they haven't seen us enough.
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
That yet.
That's happened in China. Mm-hmm. It's happened in India. They kind of got out of their absolute smallness to the point where they got their first cell phone or TV or video game.
There.
And it's so fantastic and fun. Now we need...
Activates the ego.
You need to start getting electricity in the home so you can recharge.
That was good.
And while we're at it, let's get the electric clothes washer instead of going down to the Ganges with the stones and beating our clothing with stones, which we've done for generations. Mm-hmm. We just put it in the bucket and press go. And on it goes. Anyway, back to your point.
You need the job.
There's a certain type of grief. I don't know. Grief might be the right word. It makes living in the body and life challenging because we're so habitual. We're still kind of drunk on the challenges of the world. We've tasted freedom.
Right.
And once you've tasted this freedom, you're kind of expected to be there all the time now. And yet, you might find yourself caught in hours of misery.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I have a lot of joy, but I have it of late, it's been...
Oh, yes.
Before I came back into the rooms, it was gone.
Oh.
And it's like, I'm numb.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's like the ego is numbing so that I can still function in that fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I've tasted the joy and I've tasted the peace.
Yes.
And that's kind of where I am.
Yep.
But it is grief. It's kind of a grief thing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, self-disappointment occurs. And now the Course describes it. It says, once you've tasted this type of freedom, where the sadness comes from. Before it was outside, and you could blame it on Olchi
Right.
or Carol. But, once you've tasted your freedom, you don't... The Course in Miracles freedom you tasted from the inside.
And it was in the name of empathy for those who were suffering that I felt like I went back into my ego.
Yes. It's a slippery slope. The whole it's what we read about in chapter 16.
Right.
It's very tricky that way.
Yep.
It's like our spiritual ego manipulates us into thinking that we're
Right.
doing this for good.
Yes.
And so it's justified.
Yes.
And I get that.
Yeah. Sharing in misery seems like such a good idea. It's so kind, isn't it? Well,
Yeah.
we
kind.
really read how kind of a punishment that is for both of you.
Yeah.
What a real
And
punishment
the
it really
thing
is.
we suffer from the misery that we're giving us.
And we're proving to ourselves that person is in trouble, and then we'd be in trouble worse if we were in that same situation. Better them than me. Oh, that's terrible. I hope you get better. Poor you. It's such a rehearsal of loss, okay? Yes.
It's so hard to deal with.
It's like commiserating in misery.
Because you see how much they're just creating their own pain, but they're not ready to. They don't even want to look at that bridge.
Yeah.
They're so far
But
from
they are
thinking of that as
creation.
just a fantasy over on the other side of the bridge.
They are what?
That their life is reality and what the other stuff is.
Uh-huh.
They
I don't know.
They are our creation.
The figures that we invented.
They are our creation.
And the story.
That's
the
right.
story.
That's right. The story.
It's the story. I'm doing it for them. So I'm going to save them from misery. So I'm going to suffer. It's almost.
The Course's method is you choose atonement for yourself.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
This is your only goal now.
And
It's
only
your
from
only
there
purpose.
can we ever-
It's all you're here to do.
It'll be the happiest thing you ever do. So.
It will be the happiest thing
all
you ever
have to do
do.
is be that light. And
So we're the light of the world.
Yes.
So
that's our only thing we need to do.
But
is
you have
just
to
be
glow
the light.
first.
Just be the light of the world.
Be the
You-
light.
it's
It's not our
You have to
job or responsibility to do it other than to be and let God, the Holy Spirit and Jesus live through us and show us the way.
So is that our new job?
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Recognize you're in darkness and start
That's
welcoming the light.
If you want to take a promotion.
Once you do take a taste of how you can provide the light for you, and that's the only one you get to keep.
Wow. That's the best insurance plan yet.
There are lots of other sources of substitute. Drugs, money, vacation, having the wife take the kid for a week. Lots of substitutes. When you
I
touch
was
on
wondering what you were doing.
when you touch on the true source of light, comes from within you under even the worst circumstance. That's when it really has the biggest impact. Now the gig is up. You just need to learn now how powerful that really is. This is the bridge we're crossing. This is starting to use the one mind. It's getting back to the source of all things. You're touching that and you're empowering yourself now for your freedom. This is enlightenment. It's enlightenment. It's in you. Equipment for seeing is in you.
Mm-hmm.
This is how powerful it is. It's how far this goes.
Yeah.
So that's the bridge. Yes. So now, sentence 7. And with this final blessing of God's Son upon himself, makes sense now, doesn't it? With this blessing of you upon yourself.
Yeah.
That's your part, folks. The real perception, born of the new perspective that you have learned, has served its purpose. Done. This is the way you free yourself. But it will be you. It will not happen to you. But when you have, you afford yourself this shift in perception. Isn't that what a miracle is? Mm-hmm. When you afford yourself that shift in perception, now God, or as I like to call God, truth, would sweep you up. and take that step.
Is that like seeing it from God's point of view?
Yes, exactly. Yes. And nothing for you to do now. You get taken. Now the bridge, you end up flowing right across the bridge. You work so hard.
So I could say to myself, what would God think? What would God say? What would God do in this situation?
It's not a do thing.
Yeah, what would God think? How would God see this?
You know, it's any phrase you want to use, any imagery you want
God
to
is in
use,
my mind.
any Course in Miracles lesson you want to use.
Where do I go? What do I do? What do I say and to whom do I say it?
Any map you want to use.
That's what I'm trying to
Anybody who says, I know where the bridge is, follow me. If that's all you got, do it.
That's all you got.
Because,
Don't jump off it.
because in your willingness to find the bridge, it says a lot. I mean, you're willing to leave this side. Which way is the bridge?
Because the answers are all inside.
Straight ahead.
Yes, the bridge will show up.
It will show up.
Exactly.
But not with these eyes.
Not with the peepers, not with the body's eyes, but with insight. The
Yes.
thinking is really from the mind of God.
That was a tease of the lesson, wasn't it? For any of you who haven't done the lessons or done that lesson,
Nothing I see.
that's
or
a hell of a
think
tease,
means
huh?
anything.
We're going to look for your real thoughts today. Whoa.
That's a wake up, isn't it?
If anybody wants a timer, I brought them.
Right out. That's
$5 each.
What are they?
It's a timer. Little simple. You have a much
this
better
one,
timer.
I got a couple of them.
You have a real one.
She got one.
I got one.
Yeah.
I use it every day.
I did just a minute ago.
How do they work?
Good.
We'll do that.
The simplest little thing. It's a very simple little digital timer. When you're doing your lessons, and it says, twice an hour, say these words, or think about this thought. God is the mind with which I think. Do that for 5 minutes. It says. It really helps to have something that will beep when 5 minutes is up, so you can forget about
Is
the
it
world.
when the 5 minutes is up, or is it the 3 times per hour?
If you do 3 times an hour,
No, but I mean,
you set it for 20 minutes, and when that thing goes off, it's time for you to think
so
that
it's
thought.
just a timer.
Just a timer. Okay, get ready.
Get ready.
Take a deep breath. As you release that breath, the bridge shows up. There it is. How long you've been searching, I don't know, but there's the bridge. We've all talked about it tonight. The bridge is your willingness to see that you've been making up all of your stress, all of your difficulties, all of the barriers to your freedom you have been making with your thoughts. Thoughts of smallness, loss, fairness, whatever. You know them all. That's how the bridge and crossing the bridge is waiting inside your mind. Where is the bridge, Ulti? It's so close. It's right in your mind. You discover it by you honestly looking for it. How do you look for it? Well, it's just like saying, God is the light in which I see. God is the mind with which I think. I surrender right now, and I choose happiness instead of being right. That allows you to enter into the presence of the Holy Spirit, and truth will take you right across the bridge. You will have an awakening if you surrender your attack. Lesson 23, I think it is. I can escape from the world I see by giving up attack thoughts. That's what it means to cross the bridge. Good job, group. Thank you, thank you. Amen.
Amen.
Have to get up and
Yeah.
That's what happens.
if I sit down. Oh, that. Oh, yeah.
Well,
Sure.
Okay.
Good luck. Good luck. I just learned so much. It's just part of this journey.